For more, I want to bring in our legal panel tonight. Kristen Gibbons-Fedden, she's a former prosecutor who worked on the legal team that prosecuted Bill Cosby. And Jeremy Saland, he's a criminal defense attorney and former Manhattan prosecutor. Jeremy, I want to start with you. What happened during the sentencing? You know, we saw this video that the Combs defense team put out. It shows Combs in that 11-minute video. You know, it's almost a documentary, if you will, showing him as a family man, trying to portray him as a family man, playing with his little kids, giving inspirational speeches. Do you think this did anything for the judge?
You know, in that moment, they had to take that risk because of his exposure, and you're going to go for it all, and they did a great job at the trial in terms of getting the results they did. But ultimately, it worked out well, and it worked out right. I was concerned when I was listening to that video because I could see a judge saying, that's great that you're a good father, but you stole the youth of these other women when you brought them across state lines, not necessarily for the trafficking, but for those wrongdoings in terms of that commercial sex act. You want to win the trophy of being a good person, and you're talking about how you want to be getting to heaven. Yet you did these horrible things that you're admitting to. For example, the assault of Cassie, even if it was not part of the actual elements of the crime. Big risk, big reward.
I want to talk to you, Kristen, about sort of the revelations, if you will, that he had these speaking engagements, and they called it hubris. You know, the defense saying that it was going to be talking to prisoners or something. Like, they were trying to make it look a little different. Was this a boneheaded move on their part? How do you interpret that?
I think it was absolutely a boneheaded move on their part. It was revealed in the sentencing memorandum in one of the one of the character statements on behalf of Diddy, just show that he was out there and he's going to, do things in a rehabilitative fashion to show others, that they should not engage in any wrongdoing. But here's the thing: when you have speaking engagements starting Monday, going all through October, it absolutely is an expression of excessive pride because you think you're getting time served and you're getting out. And so I think it's a bad luck for the judge because essentially you're telling the judge, I'm getting out. I know I'm getting out. It's not your decision, it's mine.
Jeremy, so he gets 4 years plus 2 months. He's got time served. How much do you think he's actually in prison?
You're going to take a lot off of that because in the system, you're going to do roughly 85% or 6/7, assuming everything goes well. So let's knock us down to 42, 43 months. On top of that, towards the end of his sentence, he's eligible and will, barring something really going sideways, end up finding himself in a halfway house or the equivalent of that for anywhere between 3 months to 12 months. So now take that off. And even while you're in a halfway house, you can get home confinement for a period of time. So his real exposure in terms of being incarcerated, you're talking potentially less than 20 months when you throw in his time served, which again is a lot, but a huge win for what he was facing.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Do you think the judge, Kristen, was lenient on him?
I think the judge was fair, honestly. I think that when you look at the fact that the judge considered that they were vulnerable survivors, the fact that the judge also said that there was coercion within these crimes, the conduct was not voluntary. I think that showed that the judge really understood. This is the judge who sat throughout the trial, sat through Cassie's testimony, sat through Jane's testimony. And so I think that even though it was lower than what the probation recommended, it was way higher than what the defense wanted, obviously. But I think it was fair, and the fact that the judge acknowledged the victims and the survivors was important.
Jeremy, before we go, we only got about 10 seconds here. Is there anything to appeal? He's going to appeal. Will he win?
He has 14 days to appeal, or pardon me, rephrase that, to file his notice to appeal. There's much on the table, but it's going to be a difficult uphill battle.
Okay, Jeremy, Kristen, great to have you guys tonight. Thanks for being here.